Thank you. Next witness in opposition.
My name's Kevin Modis. I'm with the California Brain Tumor Association. I'm out of Los Angeles. And an important thing for you to understand is these VoIP phones in a family home with multiple phones will have to be used wirelessly. There'll have to be a modem, and then they'll have to connect wirelessly to the other phones. The problem with this is these portable phones are in the same studies as cell phones, showing an increased risk of cancer, neurological problems, electrohypersensitivity, reproductive harm, immune system disorders. And in front of you, I put a Wall Street Journal article where Verizon admits in their annual SEC filings that they may have to pay significant damages and settlements to dozens of victims who have developed brain tumors from using their wireless phone. And again, these portable phones that will be used in everyone's home, will be forced to be used in everyone's home, are in the same studies showing the same effects. While visiting 5 of your assembly members' offices, I ran into 4 brain tumors. That's quite a number. Brain tumors are now the #1 killer of children 15 to 19, and one of the top 3 killers for people 15 to 39. What's interesting is the other 2 are thyroid tumors that also get a lot of radiation exposure from cell phones, and testicular cancer, where people are carrying their cell phones in their pockets. In front of you, I've also included 2 studies showing the mechanism. We now have the mechanism of how wireless radiation causes cancer. I also submitted into the record 836 studies showing how these portable phones, along with cell phones and other wireless devices that will be used by these VoIP users, damage DNA and cause a host of serious diseases to all systems of our bodies, including reproductive harm, DNA damage, and others. The Italian Supreme Court has ruled that cell phones can cause cancer. We should be warning people like Europe are and moving people to landlines as a safe alternative to wireless device radiation exposure, not forcing people over to wireless portable phones, which this bill will do. In front of you, I also included Belgium, which has banned cell phones from children based on the latest research. France and Israel have also banned Wi-Fi in kindergartens and insisted that it be turned off when not in use in higher grades. These VoIP family home systems will be exposing innocent children, babies, young people, old people, and alike to continuous wireless radiation exposure. The European Parliament has passed Resolution 1815. In 1815, they specifically recommend that children use wired landlines rather than wireless technology due to the expected health effects. They also encourage that all people have their exposure minimized and that we recognize electrohypersensitivity, which is the development of neurological symptoms associated with wireless radiation for some people. This bill and this technology is not progress. This is the wireless industry lying to you and you helping them to systematically force people to be exposed to deadly wireless radiation emitted by these portable phone systems. Just ask Steve Jobs if wireless technology is safe for our homes. I'm asking you to oppose this bill. We should be warning people, as Europe is. We should be moving people to landlines as a safe alternative to wireless device radiation exposure and minimizing their exposure. With this bill, it's no exaggeration to say that you are helping with systematic murder, corporate murder, or genocide, which sounds like an exaggeration, but is no exaggeration. If you just think about this year, Vice President Biden's son died from a brain tumor behind his right ear. That's exactly where he held his cell phone, and that's the most common place to get a tumor from your cell phone. I'm asking you to oppose this bill and to wake up and open your eyes. To do this because of its environmental advantages is completely absurd. This is the greatest health and environmental hazard of our time, and the hazard has been hidden by the wireless industry very successfully due to their resources and people in positions of power. The FCC, who monitor these exposure, is all wireless industry people. The new chairman of the FCC is the former CEO of the CTIA, the Wireless Trade Organization. There is a serious conflict of interest. This is a captured agency. And the Harvard Ethics Department went out of its way to write a report about how conflicted this agency is and how it's not willing to take into account health effects. We have a tremendous crisis going on here. And just looking at your own offices with 4 brain tumors, you should really start waking up and start protecting our people and not continue to believe the lies from AT&T and other wireless companies. Look at this Wall Street Journal article where they're being forced to admit in their SEC filings that they will likely have to pay major settlements and damages. The awards which are being asked, which are $1.9 billion. It's time for us to wake up. It's time for us to protect our children like Europe is doing. It's time for us to say no to this bill and these provisions. It's time for us to start warning people how to take care of themselves. And it's time to start encouraging people to move to landlines and other wired connections which are completely free of wireless radiation and its health effects.
Thank you. Next witness.
Good afternoon, Chairman Gatto and members of the committee. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak to you this afternoon. My name is Josh Hart. I am director of the organization StopSmartMeters.org. We are a grassroots organization standing up for consumer rights, safety, privacy, and health. We are here to oppose AB 2395. This is a profound disconnect between AT&T and the people of California it serves. Landlines are a safe, dependable, and affordable critical communications option for California families, particularly rural residents, disabled, and many others. I'm here as a constituent of Assemblymember Dale, and I live in Plumas County. And the rural areas have particular issues. You may not understand these issues living in an urban area and being solely dependent on a cell phone, but many, many people out in rural areas are dependent on safe and reliable landlines. For example, in our house, I try to use Skype and it disconnects within a minute or two. It's virtually impossible to have a business conversation using Skype or other VoIP technology. In addition, our cellular coverage is not adequate and the calls often break up. I couldn't even use a cell phone even if I wanted to because I'm electro-hypersensitive and I get headaches when I try to use it. Literally, I cannot do it. I would be one of the many millions left behind if this bill passes. This is a truly absurd bill and shows how out of touch the telecom industry truly is. We might as well demolish our water systems, electrical grid, and postal service. Why not tear up our roads, rail systems? The scrap value of those systems has got to be huge. Landline networks provide the most reliable and highest quality voice service available, better than VoIP or cell service. And I note that in the bill, AB 2395, in the text, there is no guarantee for customers that the same level of quality or reliability will be maintained. This is taking away choices from California families, not providing new ones, as they would have you believe. Analog is often referred to by the folks to my right as being old or outdated. But analog, the actual meaning of analog is the root is analogy, the same as analogy. It's the same, which is something that you really want when you're speaking on the phone to someone. You want to hear an accurate and precise representation of their voice. You do not get that with cell phones. You do not get that with VoIP. Digital is only an approximation. It is not the same signal. Safety is a major casualty of this bill. We need communications that will function reliably in the case of emergency and pinpoint the location of 911 callers. Mobile phone service does not pinpoint the location of callers the same way that landline services do when someone calls 911. Landlines generally continue working when the power goes out. This is a critical, of critical importance in an emergency. After 9/11 hit, many people living around that area in Manhattan, the cell service was completely down. Landlines were a critical safety link for these people. While the power grid is, of course, being made less reliable by the smart grid and digital meters, which have been exploding and causing harm and burning people's homes down. Cell phone systems have failed in nearly every major emergency across the U.S. in the last decade because they simply cannot, cellular service simply cannot keep up with the volume of calls. We need the copper, secure, safe landline system as an ancillary system to the mobile network. No one's suggesting taking away people's mobile service. There needs to be a choice. Cell phones cannot be the sole option for 21st century communications because, as my colleague mentioned, they pose a major health risk to users, particularly to children and adolescents. This is not paranoia, this is science. The World Health Organization classified radio frequency radiation used by cell phones and wireless VoIP services as a Class 2B carcinogen, and many countries like France, Germany, and others are taking action to protect the most vulnerable. People who are electrohypersensitive do not have an option here. There's no guarantee for safe landline wired service. People simply cannot use wireless, and they will be disconnected from their families and friends. Saying that these services and that this bill would reduce greenhouse gas emissions is ignoring the elephant in the room, which is that mobile service and cellular technology is a huge consumer of fossil fuels, of electricity, and emitter of greenhouse gases. We need to address that elephant in the room of the number of cell towers before we look at the relatively minuscule contribution of landline networks. This is important to say. 9.2 million Californians depend on landlines, including, according to AT&T's numbers, including 2.4 million who rely solely on landlines, including myself. I don't use a cell phone. Are we going to be happy being forced to use a more expensive, less reliable, and lower quality service? What exactly are we being offered? What exactly is the public being offered? This is not a demand coming from the public. This is generated by corporate priorities to make more money at the expense of public service by AT&T. Back in the 40s and 50s, we had a robust streetcar system, and General Motors, this is historical fact now, General Motors conspired with the Firestone Tire and Standard Oil to dismantle our streetcar networks. Now, 50 years later, we're looking at putting in more light rail systems. We're replacing those systems, and it's costing us billions of dollars. If we had maintained that system, we would not have faced with that cost. And we don't know where the future is going. People are into LPs and analog records. Those are increasing. There is a future for analog. It's not just digital. The widespread opposition and civil unrest that we saw in response to smart meter deployment 6 years ago will pale in comparison to what will happen if you allow AT&T to destroy our valuable landline network. If you're a legislator who cares about consumers over corporate profits, you will vote no on AB 2395 today. We insist and we demand that our landline system is maintained and improved and extended. Thank you.
Okay, so this is a very important bill, and we have to maintain the appearance of fairness. We had 3 witnesses on the pro side. We have had now 3 speak on the opposition side. But I was told by the sergeants that one of the gentlemen who just spoke jumped the gun and that one of the main witnesses has not had a chance to speak. And this is the gentleman from Turn. So we're going to allow the gentleman from Turn to speak, and after that we're going to go to public comment in opposition. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chairman Gatto. Appreciate that. My name is Mark Toney. I am the Executive Director of TURN, the Utility Reform Network. The promise of universal access is that society is stronger when everybody is connected by voice and broadband to healthcare, education, employment, emergency services, and to each other. AB 2395 sacrifices the principle of universal service on the altar of AT&T profits. What AT&T doesn't want you to know may be critically important. AT&T doesn't want you to see the maps that show how many of the 10 million copper lines that are in use today, how many of the 4 million DSL broadband customers are in each of your districts. AT&T doesn't want you to see the reports about the customers left behind without phone and broadband service in their IB transition pilot projects in Alabama and Florida. AT&T doesn't want you to know that without minimum standards enforced by the California Public Utilities Commission, you will jeopardize reliability of service, access to 911 during emergencies and power outages, consumer protections, deaf and disabled service. This bill is simply not needed. It's not needed for a roadmap for IP transition. The FCC already has a major proceeding on IP transition, which is gathering data, conducting pilot projects, and experiments to make sure no one gets left behind. The California Public Utilities Commission is doing a competition study now that's looking at what alternatives people have to voice, which includes IP, wireless, and other services. And AT&T is just trying to bypass the FCC and CPUC processes that are ongoing right now. This bill is not needed for AT&T to get out of copper landline business. I understand that they'd like to, but there's a right way to do that and a wrong way to do that. The right way is they could follow the example of Verizon, who also said they want to get out of landline, and they won CPUC approval to sell landlines to Frontier in a way that guarantees continuity of service and preserves customer choice. AB 2395 is for policymakers a moment of truth to stand up for vulnerable communities. I'm asking you to stand up for the 713,000 Lifeline households who are now using landline service, for seniors who depend heavily on plain old telephone service, Californians with disabilities who depend on landlines for health monitoring, phone service for deaf customers, and unlimited toll-free access for public services for people who are deaf and hearing disabled. The 10 million customers, voice customers, and 4 million DSL customers who depend on the copper network, all the Californians who depend on the CPUC to protect consumers by holding telephone companies accountable for reliable service. And I think it's important for you to stand up for the principle that profound paradigm shifts in policy should be negotiated by all interested stakeholders, just like what happened with AB 327 rate reform, when consumers, utilities, and CPUC worked together to bring to the legislature a consensus proposal. What I am asking you today is not to let one company, AT&T, dictate the terms of the IP transition. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're now going to go to public comment and opposition.
My name's John Talbot. I'm a blue-collar worker for AT&T in the North Bay. I see three things that AT&T gets out of this bill. One, they get the basic infrastructure out of state. I can guarantee you those server farms are not going to be here. So the PUC can't regulate it. And frankly, they don't want you to touch it. They don't really like you. They're going to come up here and tell you how wonderful you are, but they don't like you. They know you're here for the people of California, not them. Second, it's going to allow them to get rid of the least profitable parts of their network, a network that has been subsidized by the people of the state for over a century. It's going to allow them to get rid of that, the non-profitable customers in rural areas and inner cities.
And sir, if you could state your name for the record and then whether you support or oppose the bill. The primary testimony is at the desk, and you saw what happened with the support. We're just asking for this.
John Talbot, and I'm against it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next speaker.
Really?
That is our convention. I'm not going to shut you down, but that is our convention. You saw that's what the support side obeyed, and we ask that you follow the same convention.
All right. I don't remember you telling anybody to sit down, but okay.
Hi, I'm Tony Sardella with AT&T. Represent CWA and AT&T Veterans Sacramento. It's obvious that this bill was developed and written by AT&T, especially from the wording. With the wording of 2020 and Internet of Things, that's been AT&T's tagline for the past several months. What I do want to go into is the public safety.
Point of order. There's a speaker before us testifying, and there's a ton of noise in here. I can't hear him.
Okay, so we have a request from the dais if the audience could just pipe down a little bit. We want to make sure we hear these important comments. Next, just a reminder that this is public comment. You're supposed to state your name for the record and whether you support or oppose the bill.
In reference to public safety, the fire officer, the fire captain stated that wireless would be better for safety for the customer, and that is absolutely incorrect. What happens with wireline and home phones is you have what's called an ALI, automated line information, that gets passed on to the PSAP, and that doesn't happen with wireless at all. So there is no extra safety net
Again, I want to thank I want to thank everybody who came up here. The purpose of the rules, folks, is that the purpose of the rules is to make sure that everybody has enough time to state their opinion. It's not to shut up any one person. It's just to make sure that everybody else gets a chance and that we can discuss the bill as well. So please state your name and whether you support or oppose the bill. Thank you.
Ernie Pacheco, I'm the Environmental Programs Coordinator for the District CWA, and I will, as tradition and protocol allow, make one comment. And the comment is, I appreciate the sponsor dropping the cynical and dishonest greenwashing of this bill. It seems to have disappeared, but that tells you where it's really at, and we hope that the committee will send a strong signal when these multi-billion-dollar corporations come to you and clog up the docket with greenwashing materials, that you tell them that's counterproductive and you were not going to get away with it. Thank you.
My name is Shelley Conepa. I'm with CWA Local 9400. I am in opposition of this. I've worked for AT&T for 19 years as a service representative, and we already are being told to tell customers not that they can't have regular landline service. We represent Humboldt, Mendocino, Sonoma counties, and these folks don't have cell phone service. If anyone's tried to drive up to Eureka, it is absolutely impossible.
Folks, again, just a general reminder, I'll be here all night if that's what it takes. I've got no problem. But for the courtesy of other people who drove a long way to speak, the longer you speak, it gives them a chance not to speak. So that's what the purpose of the rules are for. So please just state your name and whether you support or oppose the bill. We've already had testimony, extensive testimony. Thank you.
I get one sentence. Hi, my name is Nancy Biagini. I'm with Communication Workers of America, District 9, retired member of the phone company. And with all due respect, I appreciate a no vote on this bill. And further, with all due respect, President McNeely, we know each other. I hope all those jobs that you're creating in the unionized workforce pay at least what splicers and linemen currently make. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Eladio Saldivar. I am the Legislative and Political Director here in Sacramento for CWA Local 9421. I also work for AT&T in the Ethernet Services Department. I am strongly opposed to this. I am one of those people that maintains those VoIP services. They are not stable. When we lose power at our center, we lose power and we lose our VoIP services at the Ethernet Center. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ifeanyi Chibuko. I'm on the executive board of CWA Local 9410 in San Francisco. I strongly oppose this bill.
Thank you. That's how it's done. Next.
Hi, my name's Larry Yee. I'm CWA Local 9410 Ledge Chair in San Francisco. I oppose the bill, and I see that what this does is it does not serve our senior and the people at need. Please consider opposing this bill or table it to further discussion. Thank you.
My name is Jesse Whitney, CWA 9421, and I strongly oppose this bill.
My name is Martin Rubalcava, and I'm also from 9421 CWA, and I oppose this bill.
Hermes Abounza, 9410. I strongly oppose this bill. People should have the right to choose digital or analog.
Good afternoon. Keith Gibbs, President, CWA Local 9412. I strongly oppose this bill.
Liz Sorensen, CWA District 9, very much in opposition of this bill.
Anthony Dadal, CWA 9423, strongly opposed.
Robert Reese, CWA 9421, opposed.
Adrian Regalado, CWA 9421, strongly opposed.
Arlen Castro, CWA 9421, strongly opposed.
My name is Jason Hall, President, CWA Local 9423, representing members from South San Francisco all the way to San Luis Obispo, and I strongly oppose.
Good afternoon, President Orange Richardson IV, CWA Local 9410, and I strongly oppose.
Mr. Chair, I'm Ruben Erasmo Medina with CWA, a 31-year employee with AT&T, and I strongly oppose the bill.
Good afternoon. James Purvis, CWA 9423, and I strongly oppose this bill. Thank you.
Rodney Gonzalez, Executive Vice President, 9423. I strongly oppose this bill.
Good afternoon, Monique Alvarado, Secretary Treasurer of CWA Local 9423, also 18-year employee with AT&T. And I strongly oppose.
My name is Robert Hogue. I'm a Vice President in CWA Local 9423, and I too strongly oppose this bill.
Good afternoon, Roland Anderson, Vice President, CWA Local 9410 in San Francisco. I oppose this bill in its current permutation. Thank you.
Dave Bevins, CWA 9423. I work in a rural area, Salinas, Monterey County. I strongly oppose this bill.
Penny Knapp, Local President 9417. I oppose the bill.
My name is Lena Poo. I absolutely oppose this bill. There's nothing green about this bill. We absolutely need to keep our landlines. This is an infrastructure that works, has worked, and will continue to work for us. We cannot let money dictate what is absolutely safe for our community, our environment, our natural environment, and our biology. We cannot encourage this cell wireless infrastructure to be promoted. We can have both, but we need to keep landlines. Absolutely. For the safety of rural people, all kind of details that are being overlooked needs to be considered. Landlines are important. That is the number one thing we need to keep over wireless infrastructure. Thank you.
I'm Melinda Willie from Mount Shasta. I have a direct experience of how a landline can save lives. We have storms up in Mount Shasta. Sometimes we're without power for 2 weeks at a time. We've also had severe fires up there. Cell phones do not work when we have our storms. Computers don't work when we have our storms. The only way to get help is by a landline. It's safe. We know that it's going to work. It's reliable. Cell phones do not do that. Also, we have quite a few people that are electrosensitive, and they cannot use anything but a landline. Also, when they put VoIP in some of the houses, the technology doesn't cross over with Hewlett-Packard, and with Brothers, they're not up to date on it, and so fax machines will no longer work. So I say no on this bill, and have a direct experience of why from the storms in Mount Shasta. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Brian with CWA 9400 up in the north, and I strongly oppose this bill. Please help save our jobs. I'm a maintenance splicer for AT&T and take a lot of pride in my work. So please help us stay employed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, Mitch Seaman with the California Labor Federation, also in opposition.
John Menti, CWA 9423. I strongly oppose this. Thank you.
Jason Childs, CWA 9423, and I strongly oppose.
Chris Brunette, CWA 9423, union worker fighting for fairness.
Doug Onstad, 9421, and I oppose the bill.
Unica Buchanan, Local 9421, and I strongly oppose the bill.
Hello, Devonna Edwards, Local 9421, and I strongly oppose this bill.
Yeah, my name is John Butler, 9423. I strongly oppose this bill.
Lisa Alden, CWA Local 9423, and I also strongly oppose this bill.
Gabriel Gonzalez, 9423. I strongly oppose this bill.
James Cruz, CWA 9423, strongly oppose.
My name is Ryan Anson, CWA member. I strongly oppose this bill.
Charles Blaylock, 9400, and I strongly oppose this bill.
Sonia Rodolfo Sioson from Berkeley, California, whose late daughter was very big in the disability movement as a quadriplegic. And if we had not had a landline when she had those many situations where she had to get an ambulance because of an emergency, I don't know what we would have done. So I strongly oppose this bill.
James Bernauer, CWA 9400, Lake County, strongly oppose this bill.
Matt Willis, CWA 9400 North Counties. I strongly oppose this bill.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. My name is Julio Barreto. I am second-generation AT&T employee. I am Vice President of Local 9423. I strongly not oppose this bill. Thank you.
Stephanie Chen for the Greenlining Institute. Until advanced services work as well as legacy services, we can't replace them. Vote no.
Aaron Lewis for the Consumer Federation of California, strongly in opposition. This bill circumvents current federal and state processes and does not provide adequate consumer protection. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kate Bernier, and I originally am from Washington, D.C., from a 3-generation military family. I strongly oppose this bill for other reasons, which they're passing around, on the hackability of wireless. And I think you guys are crazy to be even considering this. We're going to be hacked. Thank you.
She's right. I'm Sudie Scull, and I am the president of the Sensitive Rights Coalition, and we've been fighting no on smart meters, and we've been aware for probably 6-7 years that we will be hacked because of the smart grid, and we need landlines. I provide activism and support for people who are electromagnetically sensitive, and that whole group of people, which unfortunately is growing, they say 3 to 10% of the population now has it. We will be out without a phone. So this cannot happen. You need a choice. If people want VoIP, and it can't be AT&T fraudulently calling VoIP a landline. It's a total fraudulent misnomer. We want real landlines that have been in service since 1850. Okay? Thank you.
My name is Marilla Arguez. Right here, talking to the microphone. The mic, right here. And I'm here on behalf of my son, Max Arguez. For all the reasons that you've heard. He's extremely vulnerable. He often has problems with breathing disorders. He lives with us at home. I think you can see from this photograph how much I need you to vote against this bill. Thank you.
I'm Isis Farrell. I'm a disability justice advocate from Oakland. This bill is bad for public health and safety, the disabled, poor, rural, and prisoners. And I believe that this process here is really dishonest because AT&T is already dismantling the landlines. My phone has been broken repeatedly over the last few years. Once I had a short in my line for over a year, which was finally fixed with duct tape, several rolls of duct tape. And one of the technicians told me that AT&T hasn't been hiring people at a skill level for years. They're neglecting this thing. These polite requests here are meaningless. And I would really like you guys not to reward them for their bad behavior, but to hold them accountable to supply us with accessible, quality, analog landlines. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Thomas, a senior and a cancer patient, and I have had for 36 years, a copper line through AT&T or whatever it was before, Ma Bell, whatever, and I want to keep it. And any changes in this, it needs to be done with as speakers have mentioned, a process where all the input, all the reasons are given, and for health and safety, and I support the workers, I support, and for the environment. We need this for not just our people, but for the animals, the pets, the trees, whatever. We need the landlines. Thank you.
Wow. James Jack, Mr. Chairman and members, on behalf of CalTel, we are listed in the analysis in opposition. However, I want to thank the author staff, and especially, Mr. Chairman, your staff. Based on the amendments that were accepted today, we are no longer in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, Christopher Castrillo on behalf of the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors in opposition.
Good afternoon, members. I'm Leslie DeTayen-Jay from Russian Hill Mothers of San Francisco. I absolutely oppose this bill. Please don't allow the misinformation from AT&T and the tech industry prevent you from keeping us safe. Thank you. No.